I want to go to this next story here because talking about live service, trying to make some money out of video games beyond what they already charge you, whether it be an ever-increasing base price or their various types of collector's editions, things you can buy. Pokemon trading card game Pocket. Maybe you heard of it. People are crazy about Pokemon cards, and that apparently includes the digital version because they've estimated to have made $500 million in less than 3 months.
Yeah, I know multiple people who have spent like over $1,000 on that game already. It's so popular.
Okay.
It's like unreal how popular it immediately became.
Yeah.
Because it turns out people like the Pokemon trading card game because they played it when they were a kid,
Right.
and it's actually really inaccessible now. But you make a little app that does it, and all of a sudden, all of that comes back because it becomes super accessible. And they
Inaccessible. What do
very
you mean?
smartly inaccessible in that it's complicated
Yes.
and expensive to
Hell
get
yeah.
into the Pokemon trading card game now.
All right.
The cards are massively inflated in price because of price speculators. So the sticker price on building a deck just to start playing is like huge for a lot of people. And on top of that, it's a complicated game. And then you have to go to a place in person and like talk to a stranger to play a game with them, and then you probably get bodied because if you haven't been in it, anyone you could play against has been in it and is crushing you. It's the trading card games have the same problem fighting games have, where you either get in with your buddies and then escalate from there, or you don't get it at all.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and it's stacked on top of the price speculation problem where it's you get in with your buddies and that costs $400,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get destroyed if you play anywhere but with your buddies. So it's really unattractive to get into, but fun.
Right.
And there's obviously budget decks that you can build, but like you don't want to build on a budget. You just
Right.
kind of have to. And Pokemon TCG Pocket lets you just skip all that,
That's true.
and immediately plies you with a bunch of cards by giving you a bunch of premium currency as you start playing, so that you can buy packs and get cards and build a deck quickly. And it limits the number of cards that exist, so that the metagame isn't so complicated. There's, I think it was only 286 cards in their very first launch, and that's a totally reasonable number of cards
Right.
to like manage the meta of. Whereas you're dealing with thousands of cards in the normal TCG.
God, yeah, that's true. Is there competitive mode? Is that like ranked? Is there like a making sure you're not getting bodied immediately in digital space?
I'm not sure. I'm sure there is a matchmaking system. But I don't actually play it myself. I just have many friends who do.
That's fair. I am very thankful I never got into the competitive aspect of these, and I just like to open the occasional pack and like, oh, I got a Starmie. Wonderful.
Looks like they don't have a ranked playlist, and people have discussed whether or not there should be a ranked playlist for the game.
Right. Huh. Okay.
But that's just the result of a quick Google search. Yeah, so it's a lot easier to get into and very nostalgic. And Pokemon has had literally decades to perfect getting people hooked on opening packs.
Yeah.
And all of those things that have made opening packs fun for people, the existence of stuff like God packs where you open a pack and it's like $3,000 worth of cards existing, and then you getting these videos that are people freaking out with their reactions to opening a God pack. That's stuff that they learned from the physical trading card game, and they very effectively implemented in TCG Pocket. All the same things that can happen when you're opening actual card pack can happen in TCG Pocket as well. And So you have those moments of being like, "Oh, it's the full art Eevee. I've been wanting this Umbreon. It's amazing." And that is really addictive, and it's gotcha. It's gotcha, but
Right.
what people don't realize is that the people who have been doing gotcha for way longer than gotcha has existed is TCG companies, and Pokemon gets to pull that juice
Right.
straight into this game off rip. They don't have a learning period of learning the balance of how you need to make things happen to get people to spend a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. And on top of all of that, it's Pokemon. You want to talk about like
Yep.
one of the biggest, most popular IPs you could
The
possibly ask
the
for.
biggest, most
Is it
popular
number one?
IP
Yeah,
that
I
has
figure it's
ever
number one.
existed.
Yep.
Bigger than Marvel, bigger than DC. It's Pokemon, Marvel, DC is the order of most popular media franchises of all time, or profitable.
Yep. And it's from stuff like this. Like it's kind of
Yeah,
wild how you'll see the mainline game that's introducing new Pokemon and new regions and new characters that people will fall in love with, and the game's fucking broken. And then here's a trading
yeah.
card game, a digital trading card game, and it just bonkers.
Well, this is the reason that the main games are broken. The main games come out broken because they're on a super tight schedule because they need the game to come out on time because they have like a year and a half of preparation prior of this is going to be the company producing the dolls. This is going to be the
Right.
company producing the shirts. This is going to be what we're going to do in the TV show. This is going to be, they've got all of that laid out mid development.
Hmm.
And so if development misses, you're not just delaying the game, you're delaying like dozens of contracts you have with other manufacturers and other companies that are working in the whole media franchise.
Right.
And so, they look at Game Freak and they're like, I don't care what you do, make the game come out on this day.
And it's weird because I don't know what the development team makeup is like, but I have to imagine a lot of these people are coming from DS, 3DS, and it's like, all right, you're Switch
Yeah.
developers now, figure it out.
Yeah. They pretty openly have had a hard time with the transition to 3D.
Hmm.
Even on the 3DS. I mean, X and Y and Sun and Moon still aren't super great with working with 3D. There's a lot of problems that come with the Pokemon models.
Oh man, the problems
That
they've had with those models. Oh my
people don't like.
god.
Because the jump from black and white to X and Y, a lot of Pokemon just look worse, like way worse.
Hmm.
And that's a consequence of the fact that they're not used to 3D and they don't know how to make everything look good in 3D.
Yeah.
And now they're working with full consoles, and they're all of a sudden they're being asked to develop in HD, which is something they've never done before. And they've had a limited staff for a very long time.
Hmm.
They
But that's the
seem to not
thing.
want to overinflate Game Freak.
Well, so that's the thing. Is like, I'm sorry, you guys are Pokemon. You are bigger than the COVID, inflation of your workforce and losing money. You're Pokemon. You can add people. Like, I don't know.
Absolutely.
I think you just had, if you had your core Game Freak team that is about developing what the Pokemon world is, and then you have your workhorses that are built around, they could make something happen. But
If I were to speculate, I would say that it is likely a case of management not wanting too many different creative influences to enter the team than what they already have,
right.
and not having the experience or history with managing a large enough team to get to the size of a team that would develop a more ambitious version of Pokemon on the timelines that they want. And so they're kind of just settling with, we're gonna get better at this, and we're gonna release a couple Pokemon games that aren't finished.
And the games sell anyway. I'm buying them.
It's Pokemon.
They
I'm buying
they excel at the thing that I want, which is they make a neat little region. They make some neat little Pokemon. They've been doing really
Yeah.
well with character designs. I really like the characters that they've been making.
I like Goldango. He's still a little guy.
He's just a little guy.
Gimme Ghoul.
They made a Pokemon and called it Vavavroom. It's good.
Yeah,
It's good.
great. Good.
So
I mean, they did that a long time ago too.
yeah, well, that's the thing. This was a generation where they topped over 1,000. I'm like, all right, you guys can stop. Like,
Yeah.
I can't bother anymore. I remember.
No, but actually you can't stop, and I'm still upset that you didn't include all 1,000 in your newest game.
Yes, also, again, this goes back to you could hire the workforce necessary to develop all the, at least the models, like get all that stuff done. I know implementing all the stats and everything, and then balancing it, could be something, but
The balance is actually the real problem,
yeah.
honestly, I think. As I've learned more about competitive Pokemon, just I've gotten interested in it lately.
Hmm.
There are things like, for example, Shedinja. Shedinja is not in the current games, and the reason Shedinja is not in the current games is because the terrestrialization mechanic would make him, like, insanely unreasonably powerful.
Oh.
Uh it would, you give a Shedinja with obviously the ability Wonder Guard that he is famous for,
Hmm.
the electric terrestrialization, along with the item Air Balloon, and he becomes an electric type and, can't be hit by, ground attacks. So he is not weak to anything, which means no attacks can hit Shedinja at all.
Great. Good.
Uh, and so what do you do? Like, what do you do about that situation?
Shedinja does not
Uh
exist.
So yeah, just don't put him in the game.
He's just gone.
We don't want that mechanic and that Pokemon to exist at the same time.
Well, I I don't know. I'm of,
That and
yeah.
they keep doing this thing where they go, we're gonna make our models for the next game so that we can reuse them, and then they go, but like we actually can't really reuse all of
It's
them.
absolutely insane that happens. I don't understand that at this point. I understand making that mistake once, but like, come on.
But 3 times
I
is
It's
too many.
crazy. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Anyway, I could go on about talking about Pokemon. I've considered starting a Pokemon centric podcast, and that's someone who's not even
I
into
absolutely
competitive Pokemon. That's someone who's not into. I play Pokemon trading card game Pocket. I do it to do the thing where you open the card pack, and it's like, oh,
open
you
the
got the
pack.
card. Look
They
at
got
this
you.
holographic card. I'm gonna move it left and right and make it shine, and then I'm gonna stick that in my little booklet, and that's that. Fantastic.
Yep.
That's all I need. But we actually ended up spending all this time talking about Pokemon. The thing I wanted to point out is we had that Veilguard story where people are chasing
Right.
live service for their money. And I know this is Pokemon. It's going to make a ridiculous amount of money, but I'm sitting here like, if you work on trying to make something like attractive and like trading card games, like a trading card game, and then gotcha
Well,
with attractive ladies. Like,
that's what they're effectively doing, except with attractive soccer players at EA.
I know, but it's not. First of all,
Upwards of 70% of their live service profits comes from the FIFA gotcha.
right? Which again, like, yeah, that's fantastic. But like, you could be expanding that beyond sports. There are people who love. I found out in where I live now, there is a store dedicated to selling sports trading cards.
Yeah.
Nuts to me that's a business that is paying its bills and continuing to go. There's this whole world that
one
I
here
don't
too.
yeah, there's this whole world that I'm not aware of. I think it's really cool that it does, but I'm just like, wow. You want to talk about like trying to drum up a way to like, if your interest is in making money, there are people who seem to be into this, like the trading card stuff and
Yeah.
the gotcha stuff. Like,
Well, a big part of the issue that comes with implementing that in other markets is that if you look at like Star Wars,
mhm.
right? When Battlefront 2 remake came out, they tried to implement a lot of microtransaction stuff, and that community was very, very resistant to it. It wasn't
Yes,
gotcha stuff, but they were heavily resistant to it on grounds of it being advantage-based microtransactions.
right,
And gotcha doesn't work without advantage-based microtransactions.
right.
It's like all the biggest gotcha games have advantages for having better characters, and that's what makes the characters attractive. And the people who are really, really into the game
I,
either want to have sex with the characters or really want to do the biggest number, and spending money is how you get that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I think the number one reason people find a character attractive is their fat ass. I think
Yeah, it helps
if
for
you
sure.
if you make a gotcha Star Wars game and then give Rey Skywalker a fat ass, I think it'll do all right.
The thing is that you get games like Honkai Star Rail,
Yes.
uh, which they make a bunch of money because they release a character like Firefly, and she comes out and she does the biggest number and has the
Mm.
fattest ass at the same time.
It's all it's
And
all we need.
yeah, you pair those and it's just free money. I
Mhm.
mean, it's not free, you have to develop the art asset, but it's proportionally a
It
lot
yeah,
of
you
money.
do have to do some work. If you're gonna make a trading card
Yeah,
game, you got to make sure like it works well enough and doesn't just freaking break.
exactly, you gotta make people wanna keep playing it.
Right.
And, Pokemon can do that really easily, and I think EA has a hard time doing that because a lot of the IP that they have access to has people that are resistant to this genre of microtransaction. Gacha players play gacha games.
Yes.
They don't play other existing things as much as you would expect them to. Obviously, a lot of them are gamers, but they're not going, "Ooh, there's a Star Wars gotcha game. Let me go play that." They're playing the gotcha game, and they're associating that from the start with the microtransactions. So it's not intruding upon something they already like.
Well, I mean, what if you just come out with a Star Wars gotcha game, and from the moments like this is a gotcha game, but it's Star Wars, and not putting your microtransactions and all your shit into something like Battlefront that is already established
Well,
as a certain experience.
I'm pretty certain they actually already do have that. They have a mobile game that is like insanely gotcha
Oh,
like filled. But it's just not as successful because the audience that wants to play Star Wars games is not the audience that is looking to get gotcha'd. Some of them are, which is why that mobile game exists.
right. I don't know. I'd have to look. Clearly, I need to do some more research on this subject.
On gotcha,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. You do need to play a game with girls with fat asses.
I already
That's what you gotta
do. It's Endless Zone Zero, and it burnt me the fuck out because I'm
there
not
you
spending
go.
money on the game, and I'm just leveling these characters and being like, it's another room to fight three
And
guys
because
in.
you're not spending money, the characters have smaller asses.
That's how it works, you know.
Yeah,
It's
they
very
actually they
subtle.
have a slider. They shrink it, depending on the amount of money you've pumped into the game.
Man, don't give them ideas. I don't.
It's the stealth mechanic.
Oh shit! No, we can't let them find out.